People who work in bowling alleys, what don't we know about bowling alleys? I've been working at a rather large entertainment center for 3 years now. I started in the back as a mechanic, which was fascinating, and I have now worked every position available. I'm now in the upper tier of management, and the thing that never fails to amaze me is parents' utter lack of preservation to their kids' safety. I will regularly have to stop children from wandering down the lanes as their family watched on amused. The scary fact is that if a child was to get under the machine, it would act as if they were a ball and drop the 400-pound pin setter on them, and then scoop them back into the ball return with the rake. Also, some guy jumped off the second story of laser tag once, breaking his legs, and his only response to the event was he was attempting a trick shot. So there's that too. League bowlers are the most socially awkward bastards ever. Imagine a high school nerd that's overly proud of his D&D stats. They expect you to know everything about bowling and pin setter machines, even though you only work the register. They're cocky AF. If they bring in a date, their jokes are only funny to 50-year-old men, because they're 50-year-old men. Oh, and if they don't bowl high enough, or gutter a ball, they throw many tantrums. They will literally pay for game after game until their average is high enough to brag about to anyone who'd listen. You stuck at the register. If not, they sulk. Oh, do they sulk? Source: worked at 2 alleys. I worked on old AMF machines. When you hit the pins, or miss, your ball smashes into a board, called a stopper, and lands on a conveyor belt, called the carpet, that is angled toward a hole shared by your pair of lanes. There is a paddle that moves left to right on its own timing, that allows your ball to drop into the return rails. There is another conveyor belt that is made of rubber with a couple of big rubber lumps in it that runs above the rails and rolls your ball up with friction. While that's happening, the carpet is also pulling the pins back behind the curtain, the black wall that you see at the back. When they go under the stopper, there's a big wheel called, you guessed it, the pin wheel, running clockwise or counterclockwise. There are curved wedges built into the wheel that grab the pin, facing up or down, and wheel them up to a top conveyor belt, called the distributor. At the end of the distributor there are rails with little wheels that are pushed down when a pin is dropped. They are connected to a computer on the back end that know the sequence to drop the pins in 1, 3, 2, 4, 7, 8, 5, 6, 10, 9. On the 9-pin slot there is a switch that tells the computer that there is a full rack. It only knows there's a full rack when this is pushed, no matter if there is anything in the other cups or not. While that's happening, the table comes down, and fingers close on the pins to hold them. The table is lifted, and the sweep pushes everything back to the carpet. Then the table sets the pins back down, and opens the fingers. It's time to set pins. They are dropped into the cups, and when the table runs down it rotates the cups vertically as sets them on the lane. The machines have springs strong enough that, if you aren't ready, can snap a finger off. No, there are no magnets holding your pins down, but yes, you're so original for making the joke. I can see you're from the back without your knowing it, and yes, I can sometimes see down your shirt. Pins shoot out of the machine sometimes, and I can get hit, even if I'm being careful. It's incredibly loud back there, and very startling when a machine you're sitting next to turns on when you don't expect it to. I may have lost some hearing from working back there so long. There are boards laying across the tops of the machines that we walk on, called the catwalk. I have done laps across these out of boredom, and another pin spotter used to work out up there. Pin sitters are mesmerizing to watch. When I was training to learn how to fix basic stuff, my manager just had me watch it for 2 hours, so I could comprehend the sequence and how it was supposed to function. It's pretty cool to learn about stuff like that when you're 16 and have no valuable skills. Ooh, relevant. So back when I was 14 my first job was at the local bowling alley, and it was awesome, but definitely had shitty moments. It's a great way to see shitty parenting vs good parenting in real time. There was a small room for birthday parties and such at lanes, and it would always be left either almost spotless or a complete shit show. Some gross groups would leave a carpet of Doritos pizza crusts everywhere, cake icing on the wall, and then let their kids run halfway down the lanes before yelling from the bench, "No, bat, come back." I'm just behind the counter internally screaming, "Get off your damn ass and be in control your kids." I'm referring to the parents who just sit around the whole time and let their kids run off and disturb other guests. Then you have the complete opposite, people who leave the room almost more clean than before and have a great time with well-behaved kids. Then to top it off, they tipped me $5 because I was such a help. I just wanna be like, please come back. I have lots of bowling related stories if anyone's interested. Source: bowled competitively for 7 years, went to a nationals tournament back in 2013, worked at the lanes for 3 years. Ex was even better than me, plus her family was super into the sport. Close bracket. Guys are very insecure about their shoe size. League bowlers will pretend to be your friend, but will screw you and or the business over for their own gain. When you have to get the USBIC involved, that's when you know things are gonna go down. Don't sit your children on the counter, and please consider naming your children before the awkwardness of me having to type it out on the screen. I got an areola once. Have a great game. By the way, if you say it back, you're totally fine. Open bracket colon. Also treat the mechanics well. If they tell you to stop doing something, you should listen. Don't lie and don't give attitude. We can boot you whenever we want without giving a refund. Don't throw a ball once games are over. Don't throw multiple balls. And don't slide on the lanes. I've kicked people out for all of those and more. If your ball gets stuck in the gutter halfway down the lane, please don't go down and get it yourself. If you fall and hurt yourself, it's a huge liability. Just tell the desk and they'll send a dude to get it. I've handled a lot of balls during my time in the gutter. Worked at one for 3 years. All the guys in the back who fix the machine smoke weed and post/write a lot of inappropriate and funny pictures/jokes on the walls. When everyone leaves and we close up everything, we'd sometimes blast trap music and bowl/play the arcade until 2 or 3 AM. We'd find countless of forgotten game cards from kids, so we practically had infinite points for games. We hooked up a lot of regulars with great deals if they were nice. Be nice to your bowling alley fam. Even if you don't come in a lot, they'll remember you if you're cool. We give out free games and food like candy, especially if you tip. We disinfected every shoe after it was used. Don't worry. Wash your hands often. We never cleaned our balls. Bowling balls. League nights can consist of some of the most selfish, arrogant and rude old people you can imagine. They think that, since they've been going there for a decade plus, that they own that shit. Employees have to deal with over 100 of them, literally. 4 to 5 people on a team times 32 lanes. It causes a lot of stress and tears, more than you would imagine. So, when you come in late at night with your butts, please be kind to the 2 or 3 employees at the front desk, because they just dealt with those assholes for 3-4 hours straight, right before you crazy drunk college kids come in. Really, there's nothing controversial or insane that goes on behind the scenes that you should be worried about. We like to have fun, but we also knew it was a professional business, and we, at least the smart employees, didn't do anything over the top to test what we could get away with. One guy did get arrested for elaborately stealing from the company for over and a year and a half. There's an unspoken social hierarchy among the workers, at least the one I worked at. From the bottom up, you have porters, maintenance, snack bar staff, I was here, bar staff, front desk staff, management, owner's daughter and her friends, owners. Note that these rankings are based on how each group was treated by patrons/other staff, rather than their actual value to the business. Otherwise, the maintains guys would be near the top. I worked in back as a mechanic, fixing machines when the pins got jammed. Want to know how to scare the hell out of me? When I have to turn off the machine and get underneath it, take a ball and set it down hard on that lane. It sounds and feels like you rolled one, and I have about 3 seconds before it hits me. Worked at a bowling alley for 6 years from the ages of 16 to 22. Oh, do I have some stories. The best one was probably a young child walk down the alley, climb under the pin table, and try and knock the pins over. We had lanes which had a laser run across it, so when the ball broke the laser after a 2-second delay, the machine would bring the sweep down and the table in order to reset the pins. Unfortunately, the machine can't differentiate between pins and human flesh. Luckily, I gained the reflex of a cat that day and hit the "oh shit, stop the machine" button just as the sweep was coming down. Note to parents, watch your fucking kids. Late to the party, and finally a question I could have really nailed. I worked part of high school as the guy at the front counter giving you shoes, setting up the computer, serving food, and sprinting out back to fix shit. Wow, I was a walking health code violation. Also, I worked most of college strictly out back fixing shit and oiling the lanes. The differences between AMF and Brunswick equipment are quite large, at least the machines I worked with. Brunswick seemed to have less moving parts and were generally easier to fix. League bowlers are complete assholes. I learned to give very short curt answers to any questions while oiling lanes, or they would blame their entire shitty bowling day on me. Working out back during college was great, though. I was able to get paid to do so much homework and was generally left alone. I could go on, but I fear I'm here too late. I like this thread. I worked in a bowling alley for about 5 years. Ask me anything. What don't you know? Sometimes the people who fix your machines and make sure the pin's set up correctly, or fix the scoreboard because you didn't step over the line, are the ones fucking with your machine. Piss us off, and we will make your bowling experience a mess. If you want to bowl, and it's a busy period of time, call and make a booking. One game of bowling on average takes 10 minutes per person per game. For a family of 5 to play 2 games, that's nearly 2 hours. I was a manager at a bowling alley for 3 years, and when you're taking birthday parties and leagues, it's an absolute nightmare trying to squeeze other people in.